Hey everyone, Thyworm here, with another solo self-found strategy breakdown, this time Torment and Go. I ran 50 tier 16 rare corrupted maps with Torment in it and registered all the results, plus some gameplay. Let's dive in. Torment, or the green ghosts or spirits, is one of those mechanics that is ripe for a rework, but until that happens you can use this strategy. I will explain the strategy itself, but first a small section on Torment, on the mechanic, a basic explanation if you will. Torment adds spirits to the map. They can touch monsters and possess them, called grip. If touched, there is a green flame above the monsters. If possessed, they are gripped, and you can tell in their modifier list as well, the green modifiers. Loot-wise, touched and gripped monsters have increased rarity and quantity. There are many different tormented spirits, all with their own effects, and then there are unusual tormented spirits, which you can force onto the map using the scarab of peculiarity. This is what that strategy is based on. There are only 3 unusual tormented spirits, and they either make monsters drop extra maps, extra uniques, or extra scarabs. And that's great for SSF, those are all things you need. You might wonder, okay, how can you tell, but I will ensure you can definitely tell once an unusual spirit pops off, especially with scarabs. It is very noticeable. Let's start by listing a few pros and cons I found during this little exercise. First, some pros. 1. The main pro and reason for running this strategy in the first place is that you probably have these scarabs lying around at some point. You can 3-to-1 convert them, sure, but you can also use them, and if you focus on this strategy, those scarabs have a real purpose in solo self-found. You will most likely not have an optimal scarab setup all the time that you can sustain, so being able to branch out to other strategies while still having a good time, that is a huge pro. 2. Pretty decent loot, primarily from maps and scarabs. Unique items are weighted, so there's a lot of trash dropping, but maps and scarabs are great and in good quantities too. 3. It's a very minor pivot from other strategies, as the Torment nodes and clusters are close to the other nodes on the passive tree that you are likely already taking. So it's easy to respec just a few points, run a bunch of scarabs and then respec back again. Then cons. 1. I did another round of testing this time, and you are forced kind of to play on maps where the tormented spirits have a clear but narrow way to reach monster packs and touch or grip them. Open map layouts are not great, like Jungle Valley. Maps where torments get stuck are even worse, like Cage. I found Toxic Sewer to be the absolute best map, so you are kind of forced to play on a map like that to get the most rewards out of this strategy. Not sure that's a con, but you know, that has to be said. The Atlas focuses on a few aspects. 1. Torment, of course. There are only 3 clusters on the Atlas passive tree. Paranormal Meeting adds a tormented spirit. Seance has monsters being possessed. I'm skipping Unrelenting Torment because that buffs map bosses so much they will one-shot you, and I was trying to reach level 100. And Speaker of the Dead is a fun node, but spirits possessing monsters adds a lot of rarity and quantity to them, so I think it's better they possess monsters than possess me. 2. Some map sustain is on there. 3. Scarabs, pretty much all of the nodes, because you will be dropping a bunch of scarabs. 4. Strong boxes, I'm just making them rare and corrupted in case they show up. 5. Searing Exarch, my go-to influence. 6. Finally, rarity, quantity and map effect, plus packed with energy. If you have less points than me, I would drop strong boxes and map effect and packed with energy. For scarabs, mandatory are the 2 regular torment scarabs, they both add a tormented spirit, and 1 torment scarab of peculiarity. For the last 2 scarabs, you have quite a bit of freedom. Anything that adds monsters is great, so beyond any scarabs belonging to the miscellaneous category, those all add more stuff like more magic or rare monsters. Or even something like Breach, which will be entirely touched by spirits on a good day, that is going to work just fine. For me, over the course of the 50 maps, I did a mix of adding monsters, and I also ran 20 maps with the Torment Scarab of Possession for even more spirits. That scarab is a bit more rare though. For preparation, I rolled and corrupted 50 tier 16 maps. These had decent quantity and pack size on them, I think on average around 80% or something, so they drop by themselves already decent rewards. The Torment is just a cherry on top and adds maps and scarabs in the loot pool for the most part. You can clearly see when that happens. Otherwise, not much is required in terms of preparation. You can, if you have it, equip Fairgrave's Tricorn, which not only fits very well into the current league and lore, but also allows you to be touched and be really zoomy. This isn't necessarily an upside though, and I will get to that. Because let's talk about the execution. There is one thing that you should realize, and that is that the spirits do need a little bit of time to travel and touch and grip monsters. If you blow up the entire screen as soon as you arrive, you will also blow up the spirits and you won't gain much from this strategy. If your DPS ramps up a little bit or you can control it, results will be much better because you should really allow those spirits to travel. I would focus on running only Toxic Sewers. That is in my experience by far the best map, as it is easy for spirits to find new packs and touch everything. Watch out for all the on-death effects that these spirits do. It may kill you, especially in a dense monster pack. And other than that, have fun. Enjoy the loot showers. Let's talk loot, and before we talk about that, you should know that I'm on a rather strict loot filter already. There are many things that I'm not showing, but by going over what loot I am showing, you should have a good idea of what you can expect. Starting with the notable tab, notable stuff that didn't go into any stash tabs. I found 2 regular uncorrupted 6-links and 3 corrupted 6-links, a step up from previous strategies caused, I feel, by the increase in rarity. I found a few uniques that are still on my filter, including an Estramentis, always useful to have for a twink or something, and the Bisco's Leash dropped as well. 1 memory strand amulet somehow, some fractured gear, which you will also see more of thanks to Torment, including something you don't see every day, a fractured map, and then some random items indicative of just running 50 maps. Then, let's move to the currency tab. It is less than the 120 charts or 13 voyages of last episode, but a bit better than Alchengo mapping. I think notable is the rarity again with 2 Divines and 2 Veldos puzzle boxes. In the Atlas tab, 4 Astrolabes, 1 memory, on par with the Alchengo of before, and in the League tab, as I did run a bit of Beyond, some tainted currency. Fragments, some sacrifice pieces, some splinters from Legion, which I ran, but then of course also scarabs. You get a lot of them, and that is partly because of the more juiced maps and the Atlas focusing on scarabs, but it is also because of the Torment strategy. In total, I got around 770 scarabs from 50 rare corrupted maps. That is 15 scarabs per map on average, mostly in Toxic Sewer, which is a quick and relatively small map. That is very good for basically using some throwaway tormented scarabs you otherwise have no use for. This alone makes the strategy more than worth it in my opinion in solo self-found. Also, nothing to scoff at, the number of maps that you drop. 130 tier 16 maps, 4 Guardian maps, 12 Nightmare maps, those definitely are impacted by rarity and quantity then, and of course by duplication from Searing Exarch altars, and 22 unique maps as well, another indicator of high rarity. I even got a pretty rare Twilight Temple drop. Then some essences, but not a whole lot, as there is zero focus on them. And finally, div cards, barely any div cards, as again there is not much of a focus on those either. And that's it for the loot and for the video. I will merge the tabs and I will be off to do more testing. If you have any suggestions or questions, let me know. Thanks for watching and making it to the end. Love you all, see you soon, bye bye.